Welcome to Conversations Live. For more than a decade, we've brought you the best in books, entertainment, celebrity interviews, and current events. When the movers and shakers of the world have something to say to you, they say it to us first. Now celebrating 17 years of broadcasting success, here's your host, Cyrus Webb.
And welcome back, everyone, to Conversations Live. I'm your host, Cyrus Webb. Glad you all could join us once again, both for our radio audience here in the South and our online audience tuning in. Thanks to our friends at iHeartRadio. We're glad you all could be with us as well. We're excited to welcome Justin Cornell to our program today. Justin's someone who's been able to enjoy not only his love of acting, but also music as well. Those have kind of come together this year in a project you guys are probably already watching on Netflix called Jingle Jangle. We'll talk to him not only about that film and what it was like for him to be a part of it, but also the great projects he's been a part of even before this, and what it's been like for him to do work that he loves and, of course, see the response to it. If you guys are not following Justin online, of course, we'll let you guys know where to find him there. Justin, thank you so much for the time, man. Really appreciate it.
Oh, no problem. Thank you for having me on.
Hey, glad to do it. So I want to begin with kind of the reflection of this year. This has kind of been, I know, one of those roller coaster years for a lot of people. But what has it been like for you, Justin, to kind of see everything kind of coming together for you professionally and the great things that have been coming your way?
You know, during the beginning of the year, it all seemed like I was so excited just to see Jingle Jangle come out to the world. It feels like a secret I've been keeping for so long. And I've been thinking about everything that would happen towards the end of the year, at the beginning of the year, and I couldn't have imagined it. One, I couldn't have imagined where we'd be at with the COVID situation, but also I couldn't imagine the response that we would get from people, because I feel like we're in a place where people really need something like this, something that's just full of positivity and joy and love. And it's just such a great feeling to kind of receive that love back, you know.
Right.
It's been amazing. This entire year with my career, it was going well, I would say. I had finished the in-between in 2019 when the show didn't get picked up for the second season, immediately after I was filming Jingle Jangle. And I had gotten married, and it felt like, you know, the sky was the limit immediately after Jingle Jangle. And I was meeting with a lot of directors, getting close with a lot of projects during the pilot season, and then suddenly here comes March and everything is shut down. And
right.
So it's been almost like a moment where I can almost unfocus from my career a little bit and refocus on maybe things that aren't as, you know, material, things like my family, because I had just gotten married, things like
right.
my friends and, you know, things that really filled my soul. And I think that's what this year has been a lot. I think the last 5, 6, maybe 7, 8 years of my life have been filled with career-focused, career-driven type thinking. But this year feels like hitting a refresh and reassessing what's important to me.
Gotcha. I love that. Justin, do you also think, as you kind of, and I thought about this when I was prepping for this segment with you, do you also think 2020 has been a year for you to reap? You know, I think a lot of times, you know, when people look at careers, there's so much sowing. Do you kind of feel like this is the year you really got to see it all kind of come to you?
Interesting. I don't know. Because the year has been so vast of kind of sitting in the house, not feeling much connected to
gotcha,
to anything
right,
or
right,
anyone.
Right.
And so now so you say this year, you know, Jingle Jangle's been out for 3 weeks, and it feels like the love that has been building up throughout the last 4 years or 5 years of my career, kind of pouring out at this moment. I feel like I've gotten more love for this role than anything I've done in my career.
Oh, wow.
And it feels like maybe a little bit of reaping the rewards of being maybe the consummate professional, focusing on my art and focusing on trying to, you know, elevate my own personal art, you know, and the art that I bring to the screen or the stage or, you know, to the writing or whatever. But
right.
I feel like maybe I'm reaping a bit of my own good karma from just being consistent with that.
Gotcha. Yeah, and I think, too, there are people who are, especially in the creative community, Justin, who will hear this, I think that will encourage them, because I think, you know, you're in an industry that can be full of uncertainty, especially even outside of a pandemic, right? But
yeah.
To even be able to finish the year on a high note and to see the escapism you're able to bring, but also the inspiration that comes with this film. We'll come back to that. I want to go back to this journey because I mentioned in my introduction that you've been able to take your love of acting and music together. Have you always known that in some form, Justin, those were going to be a part of your life?
It's really interesting because I said, there was always that term triple threat, right? And even as a child, you understand what the term triple threat was. It was, you would see the child stars, being kind of molded in front of your eyes as a child. They're singers, they're dancers, they had they had one side of the coin that was a singer, the other side of the coin that was the actor, and they would bring all those things together. So I think it always felt like something that was a discipline. All those things felt like a discipline that fit in a mold together as an entertainer, as a performer. So as a child, I looked at that and I said, I want to be able to act and I want to be able to sing and I want to be able to do both. And as I got older, I leaned more towards one professionally, maybe more towards one as a passion, as a hobby or something. But they begin to form into each other as you hone them, and they become that homogenous piece of art like Jingle Jangle. Right. And I've done work on the stage where I've sang and danced, and I was never the guy who was really in love with the musical, but I loved music and I loved theater, and I knew at some point that those two loves intersect. There's it's a whole genre. So I knew at some point I'd fall into something that resembled a musical, and I couldn't ask for anything better than this.
Yeah. Well, I tell you, and I think timing really is everything when it comes to a project like this, and we'll get into that. I want to say for those who are just tuning in, though, either on the radio side or online, you're listening to Conversations Live, and we're excited to welcome Justin Cornell to our program. We're talking to Justin not only about the love of the craft, but also what's been like for him to see the hard work paying off in many ways, including with the new film on Netflix, Jingle Jangle. So let's talk about that, because I think as we talk about Jingle Jangle, to talk about your other work, I think I first heard about you with Training Day, Justin, as you mentioned also, in between. So talk to us about bringing different types of characters to life. Is that kind of what keeps it fun for you, that you're not just bringing the same character to each and every project?
That's 100% it. I mean, being from the theater, we do a show for maybe 3 months, and then we go on to the next show. And it was always so refreshing. I love that ability to kind of shake it off and then have to start from scratch. It almost felt like every new project I had to start my entire craft learning process from scratch, because every project was its own craft in a sense. And it felt like I love that. I love that exploration and that challenge to just take everything I know and forget about it and start from zero again. And even when I'm playing two people who are similar, like Damien Asante from The In-Between was a detective, and so was Kyle Craig from Training Day. Both of these characters who, have an arc over the 10, 13 episodes, they are very different, emotionally centered characters. And besides a little goatee that I grew, they look a bit different as I gotten a bit older over the years. But I always want to bring something different, and I love the fact that I get to do Jingle Jangle and bring what I would say is the closest character to myself in my eccentricity type on the go. Like, I felt like I could really make it play and do that thing I used to love to do in theater on the screen that I don't really bring to a lot of other screen roles that have more subtlety or nuance. I could find the nuance in a bigger way in this colorful cartoon world that we were trying to build,
Right. Well, there's a quote I made a note of from the Chicago Sun-Times, Justin, when you were talking about the response. And I want to read a bit of it because I think it's interesting as I ask you this next question. You said in that interview, I think everybody I've ever known has reached out to me telling me that they've seen the film 3 or 4 times. They're having such a visceral, emotional reaction to it because it feels like we are doing something that's much needed. I want to talk about that feeling. I mean, here you are doing something that you love, something that you're passionate about. What is it like for you to have somebody basically through their response say thank you?
It really is the dream of an artist to be able to make something that touches people in a way that they feel the need to let you know. And I think that's why we display our art, because we just want somebody to tell us that this is the thing I needed to see. We want to help people. We want to change people's lives or show them an image they haven't seen before, or give them an idea because someone gave us that idea at one point, and we're trying to pay it forward a little bit in that respect. It's overwhelming to see the kind of outpouring of joy that I get from this movie. Like I said, it's just so much more than I've gotten from other roles that I've played. And I'm only Django for the first act in the movie, and people have come to me and just like I instantly feel comforted by you. I feel so great in your presence, and and I felt like, wow, this is amazing. I'm still gauging my own emotional reaction to it because it's ongoing.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to think how I feel about it, but I'm just happy to be able to be in a piece of art that services people in this way.
And that brings us to the last thing I want to talk to you about, social media, which has really been the lifeline, Justin, for a lot of people through this pandemic. I noticed, because I'm following you as well, we're going to let our audience know how they can do it too. I noticed you've been sharing a lot of what you've been receiving back when it comes to Jingle Jangle, but also even on your page sharing bits of your journey as well. What has that been like for you? I mentioned what social media has been for us, but what has that been for you as a creative to be able to have that expression coming at you of people's appreciation and them sharing part of your work with the world?
I think it's interesting because especially in a time right now where we don't get the kind of connection that we would usually get in person or on the road or somewhere where we could literally talk to the people and we can see their response to our art. Social media and those things are important to gauge for us what we're doing out there. And so when I get so many messages from social media, and I like to respond to a lot of people because they always seem so happy when I respond, and they don't have a lot of followers, or no one thinking that they're going to send a random message that gets a response. And I love being able to say, look, me and you are connected through whatever magic of the world has provided us. Me and you are connected by this close. And I think that is what Jingle Jangle is also showing us too, that we can make something randomly on an Air Force base in London, and it goes out to the world.
Yeah,
we're connected. So we're connected so close. And I think traveling the world, if you get out of your community, when I first was able to get out of my small town and actually travel the world, I just realized how small my thinking was. I didn't know until I was able to travel around. Like, I'm so close to every single person on this earth that I do myself a service if I don't explore and I don't talk to them and I don't invite them in. And so it's just been amazing. I love sharing people's posts because it warms my heart. People are having a great reaction to the music or the dancing and the story, and I just want other people to know, like, this is positivity. There's no negativity surrounding this. This is not a controversial issue to talk about. We just want people to sing and dance and be happy.
Right.
And
right.
that's what it's just something very sweet to share, especially during the holidays,
Well, since you mentioned home, shout out to Louisville, Kentucky. My best friend, Justin, actually lives there with his family, and so he was excited that I told him I was going to be speaking with you, so definitely want to say shout out to them. That brings us to this last point that we're going to let our audience know how to stay connected with you, Justin. I'm glad you mentioned that about Jingle Jangle, about not being controversial. However, I think there is an interesting message there about the power of the dream, and I don't think I've felt it so strongly since I watched The Greatest Showman, to be honest with you, about the importance of the dream and how even if you do lose your way, being able to find your way back, and I think that is such a powerful thing. And also, I think, let's not forget also, I think another great theme there is not being in this alone. What do you hope when people watch it, Justin? What do you hope they're able to take away from it?
I hope that people are able to take away from it, even outside of all of the great story about if something is lost, it can be found once again, that if you believe in yourself, you can create and do and materialize anything that you want in this world. Our bodies are vessels to manifest our dreams,
Right.
And I think that we found that. You don't have the show uses a lot of math that is in our imaginary world, But it doesn't have to be the numbers that we have in our real world. That you understand that if you put your mind to it, you can find whatever that crazy algorithm is or that crazy equation that connects the one thing to the other. But the thing that I want people to take out of it the most is that as Black people in America, we want to build a legacy that's rich and that's powerful and that means something, that goes back for generations and generations, your great-great-great-grandfather, Veronica's jangle, and something that you can point back to instead of slavery and that thing that's way back there that we have no record of because they're gone. And I think that is what we're doing here in America. We are building our legacy for the generations to come, the generations after that. And it's that equitable legacy that I want people to see and to know that they are currently in the middle of. As African Americans, I don't know if we've been shown images of that or felt that very strongly, but I think that's what's changing here, especially with this movie.
Gotcha. What's a powerful thing? Again, everyone, Justin Cornell has been our guest. Great conversation with you, Justin. Again, the new film is called Jingle Jangle. It's out through Netflix, is where you all can watch it there, as many of you already are. And, Justin, how can our audience stay connected with you, man?
You guys can keep up with me in all things, my career and, my personal life here and there at Justin_Cornwell. I'm on Instagram, or Justin_Cornwell there on Twitter. Hit me up. Send me an email. Send me a DM. I'll hit you back. I'll give you a thumbs up. The world is a small place.
Right.
I'm here with
Justin, really appreciate the time, man. Really appreciate you dropping by. It means a lot for our audience here and for us. And we thank you, our audience, for tuning in to another great segment of Conversations Live. Until next time, I'm your host, Cyrus Webb, saying, as always, enjoy your day, enjoy your life, enjoy your world. Thank you all for choosing Conversations Live. Let's make today amazing. Take care.